so glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you this Monday. A step backwards in the fight against a virus.
It's a shame because it's not a reflection of overall Canadian experience.
How Canada fell behind when we were among those out in front.
It'll be tried in the court. It won't be tried in the media.
The serious charges facing a Canadian television star.
Just never forget.
Plus, first-hand stories from the surviving few of the greatest generation.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Canada has been stripped of its measles elimination status. It means that after nearly 3 decades of being disease-free, the highly contagious viral infection has come back with a vengeance across the country. And it's because of declining vaccinations. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver takes a deeper dive into the return of the preventable childhood illness. Hi, Annie.
Sandy, the designation from the Pan American Health Organization is largely symbolic, but it represents a hard-fought battle against the disease. Measles is one of the world's most contagious diseases, but low vaccination rates leading to a year of outbreaks across the country have lost Canada its measles-free status.
Everything's pointing in the right direction. Unfortunately, we couldn't stop the outbreak completely in time to lose our elimination status. But the direction of travel is that we will get it back.
Canada received its measles elimination status in 1998 after decades of rallying to stop its circulation. But now the virus has come roaring back. From 1998 to 2024, an average of just 91 cases were reported annually. So far this year, 4,800 cases have been confirmed, with another 362 considered probable.
It's because of some localized areas that have been under-immunized. And it's a shame because it's not a reflection of overall Canadian experience.
Measles infects the respiratory tract and then spread throughout the body, with a rash and high fever the most common symptoms. While most recover, it can cause deafness and, in rare cases, death.
The second the rash starts, it's like anybody would know. It's literally from head to toe, under their feet, in between their toes, everything.
Michelle Sear's daughter was hospitalized with the measles last month. Sear has no idea where she caught it.
Make sure you do your vaccinations. That's my biggest concern, because if I was a little late with hers, and I think that if I would have got it on time, then maybe she wouldn't have got it.
The Public Health Agency of Canada says transmission is slowing, but that it will take time to finish this outbreak. Sandy.
Okay, Annie, thank you. Now, with almost 5,000 cases, as Annie said, in 9 provinces and 1 territory, how did we get here and how do we get out of it? The anatomy of an outbreak is what CTV senior correspondent Heather Wright took on as an assignment. Heather.
Well, Sandy, in past outbreaks, there have often been multiple strains of the measles virus circulating, but this time there is only one, which experts say suggests the cases are all connected.
Public health officials say Canada's measles outbreak began on October 27, 2024, when an international traveler attended a wedding in New Brunswick. Guests at that wedding then went home to southwestern Ontario, where an outbreak began among the close-knit Mennonite community. The virus then began to spread throughout the country, mainly among the unvaccinated.
The dominant emotion I have is sadness.
James Talbot is a former chief medical officer of health in Alberta and worked on eliminating measles in the 1990s. He says the tools to rein in the spread of the virus are there, but aren't being used in every part of the country.
We know what we need to do to bring it back under control, and we just need the political leadership and the resources to be able to regain that status.
Talbot points to Alberta and Ontario as 2 provinces that have struggled to get the virus under control. Combined, they represent 84% of all cases. Ontario's outbreak was declared over last month, while Alberta most recently reported 2 new cases. Increasing vaccination rates, strengthening public health measures like contact tracing, and creating a national vaccine database are among some of the recommendations for Canadian officials. But during a time of political polarization, vaccine hesitancy, and vaccine misinformation, experts say it could be a long road.
I think we have a tolerant approach to people who have very good reasons for not getting vaccinated. And if that approach is maintained, then we will have vulnerable geographies in the country. And that's something we're going to have to live with.
Canada can regain its measles elimination status once transmission of the virus has ended for at least 12 months. Sandy.
Okay, Heather, thank you. Actor Mike Smith, who plays the character Bubbles on the long-running TV show Trailer Park Boys, was arraigned in a Halifax court today. His lawyer informed of the charges of sexual assault against his client in connection with an alleged incident 8 years ago. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth is outside the courtroom. Okay, Paul, take us through where things stand.
Sandy, Mike Smith was not in the courtroom this morning. His lawyer appeared on his behalf at the arraignment.
This is an allegation at this point. It hasn't been proven. It'll be tried in the court. It won't be tried in the media. And in the meantime, we ask that the privacy of everyone involved be respected.
The single count of alleged sexual assault dates back to December 30th, 2017 in Dartmouth. Smith was charged by Halifax police last month.
It is actually quite common for charges of sexual violence to come out later on into years following the alleged incident. That's not uncommon. We do see that regularly, and that's why there's no limitation for sexual violence.
In a statement, Trailer Park Boys Incorporated said they will not comment further on the case, and Smith has stepped away from his managing director role. The judge has ordered a publication ban on the female complainant's identity. The 53-year-old actor, known as Bubbles on the TV show, is ordered to have no contact with her. He could enter a plea at his next court date on December 3rd.
I can't say for certain what will happen at the next day. That'll depend on if disclosure has been complete and what him and his counsel have discussed. But it is set for election and plea at that time.
CTV News requested an interview with Halifax Regional Police, who said they will not be providing any interviews in relation to this investigation. Sandy.
Okay, CTV's Paul Hollingsworth in Halifax. Now, the Prime Minister was out selling his budget in the East Coast today, meeting with New Brunswick's Premier Susan Holt. Mark Carney then announced the next segment of major projects will be revealed on Thursday. CTV's senior political correspondent Michael Couture now on how Holt feels about it and what other provinces want from Ottawa. Mike?
Sandy, with this next round of projects, the government will face even more pressure to please every province. And the Prime Minister was providing few hints as to where they will go.
The next round of major projects is going to be announced later this week, on Thursday.
So we know when, but we don't know what will be announced in the second phase of the so-called nation-building projects. New Brunswick was left off the first list in September, but Premier Susan Holt is hopeful that won't happen this time.
We've been working hard on a number of projects, and the announcement won't be the Interties. It will be one of the other projects that we've been pushing for.
The first round of projects to have federal support included LNG expansion in BC, a small modular reactor project in Ontario, expanded port facilities in Montreal, and 2 mines in Western Canada. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is pushing for a bitumen pipeline to Tidewater to be on the next list. On her radio show this weekend, she said she's in discussions with the federal government.
We've been going back and forth now daily on a memorandum of understanding, and I hope that we're able to iron out some of the differences that we have in time for Grey Cup or shortly after.
BC's premier has pushed back on a pipeline running through his province, but Prime Minister Carney hasn't ruled one out, possibly dropping a hint last Friday.
One of the things with, don't worry, we're on the pipeline stuff. Danielle's on line 1. Don't worry, it's going to happen. But, well, something's going to happen. Let's put it that way.
The Prime Minister's announcement will be in Prince Rupert, BC, perhaps an indication that province will see the approval of another major project. Sandy?
All right, CTV's Michael Couture in Ottawa. Washington is a big step closer to ending the 6-week government standoff with a move by a small group of Democrats who broke party ranks to side with the Republicans. The Senate has now advanced the plans, but it still needs to clear the House and then get Donald Trump's signature. So not a done deal yet. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon shares where things stand and what has to happen next. Joy?
Sandy, after 41 days, the longest U.S. government shutdown in history, senators could vote as soon as today, the House on Wednesday, but not everyone is thrilled about this deal. It was more than a bumpy weekend for flying passengers, a staggering number of delays and thousands of flights canceled.
It was madness, craziness. Everybody was pissed. It was not a pleasant experience at all.
Airlines drastically cutting flights for safety reasons during the shutdown as air traffic controllers and TSA agents forced to work without pay or calling in sick.
We've been here for 3 days because of planes.
President Donald Trump threatening controllers who don't show up, saying, "Get back to work now. Anyone who doesn't will be substantially docked."
As we get closer to Thanksgiving travel, listen, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have air travel slow to a trickle.
From airport disruptions and food benefits to millions of Americans cut off, the hardship on Americans doing real harm. And that led to a Sunday night compromise to end the shutdown stalemate.
The motion upon reconsideration is agreed to.
8 Democrats voted with Republicans enough to end the shutdown with the promise of a future vote on a Democratic demand, an extension of expiring Obamacare health care subsidies, but no guarantee that Republicans will support it.
What we have in this bill is the restoration of all the furloughed employees and a guarantee of their back pay. That's a big win for 2 million federal employees,
leaving some Democrats bitterly divided.
We're not going to support partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people.
Republicans are cheering the end of the shutdown, but this deal, if approved, will only reopen the government until the end of January. Sandy?
Okay, thank you for this, Joy. Well, so much for easing into winter weather as a record-breaking snowfall pounded parts of central Canada. The cleanup continues in Toronto, where nearly 10 centimeters of snow fell yesterday and then more today. The storm marks the city's earliest snowfall of more than 5 centimeters since 1969, and almost 12 centimeters was dumped onto the nation's capital, making it the snowiest November 9th since 1897. And it created delays in Ottawa for the Canadian Premier League soccer final, which ended up being a rather unique contest thanks to the so-called icicle kick.
Anyone's to claim in the air. Bicycle! Oh my God! The most incredible goal in CPL history!
Those ice-cold acrobatics from David Rodriguez helped lead Atletico Ottawa to the North Star Cup. Rodriguez would go on to score a dramatic winner in extra time to give Ottawa a 2-1 victory over Calgary's Calvary FC. And as we head to break, an iconic Canadian rock band is hitting the road for the first time in 23 years.
American woman, stay away from me.
The Guess Who have announced a 2026 Canadian tour, and while Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman have performed together over the past few years, a legal fight with former band members prevented them from using the Guess Who name. That case has now been settled. And yes, as the song goes, the band will be running back to Saskatoon for one of the 12 stops on the tour, which kicks off in Moncton next May.
I'm Andrew Johnson. Coming up on CTV National News, inside the country's largest Royal Canadian Legion.
It's an amazing place. It's a beautiful building.
How one BC branch has managed to thrive and why there's new hope at Legions right across the country. Coming up on CTV National News.
Canada's Governor-General, Mary Simon, won't be at the Remembrance Day ceremony in Ottawa tomorrow because she's in hospital recovering from a respiratory virus. We are at the point where very few veterans of the Second World War are still with us. CTV's Alex Carpa spoke with 2 in Winnipeg who shared their memories of the war and what tomorrow means to them.
102-year-old Percy Rosamond was just 19 when he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1942.
I don't know why, but I enjoyed my time in the Air Force.
He was an aircraft mechanic during the war stationed in England, where he worked on Liberator bombers. Rosamond recalls his brother, who was an air gunner during the war, left England the same day he arrived.
I thought that was quite a novel thing to have happen.
101-year-old Andrew Pradanik was also 19 when he joined the war effort in 1943.
I tried to get into be a pilot, but all the positions were filled because this was near the end of the war. And so I took on navigation.
Pradanik trained in Brandon, Regina, Saskatoon, and ended up in Rivers, Manitoba. By the time his training was complete, the war was over. He says he has fond memories of his time in active duty.
It was very interesting work.
With Remembrance Day tomorrow, Pradanik and Rosamond will both remember friends who made the ultimate sacrifice. And with that, Rosamond is sharing a simple message.
Just never forget.
Both men live at this facility here in Winnipeg and are part of a dwindling number of Second World War veterans in Canada, a conflict where more than 1 million Canadians served. Sandy.
Alex Carpa. Legions right across this country are places for veterans to find support and social interaction. And there's a very successful one in British Columbia that boasts party nights that some might find impossible to resist. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson discovered a community bursting with life.
G59. We have a bingo call.
It's a packed house for bingo night at the Maple Ridge Legion.
Do people get into it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They start screaming the numbers out.
The dozens with dabbers pouring over bingo cards are some of the more than 2,600 members of the largest and most successful Legion in the country.
It's an amazing place.
I've always felt very comfortable and very safe in here to come in all by myself, have a glass of wine and a dinner, or meet with friends.
Struggling. Bingo night, karaoke, dances, and the classic meat draw bring people in, but there's more to this Legion than entertainment. In addition to fundraising and support for veterans and their families, the Maple Ridge Legion operates 2 housing developments built on partially donated land decades ago. It provides hundreds of homes for veterans and seniors at much less than market value. The branch boasts assets in the range of $50 million.
We had some great executive members who were forward-thinking.
Very good groundwork to begin with. When I got there over 30 years ago, there was people in place that knew what they were doing.
They credit business smarts and huge community support with helping this branch weather the post-pandemic struggles that have led to some closures across the country. Membership in BC overall is now growing, and the Legion says that's also happening Canada-wide as branches diversify.
Some innovative models are starting to pop up around the country. So you have that model where you have help available at a branch. You might also have some support services in-house.
In Maple Ridge, members are incredibly grateful for the place they count on.
Where do you go? You can't just go to a bar. You know, where do you meet people? Well, you come to the Legion.
They hope for many years to come. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Maple Ridge, BC.
We will never forget your bravery, your strength, your sacrifice.
The very best and bravest of our nation. These heroic souls stood on guard for freedom.
Join the CTV News team and me as Canada comes together to remember.
Remembrance Day 2025, Tuesday morning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on CTV.
Fun Wong, another deadly typhoon, set off floods and landslides in the Philippines after coming ashore with wind gusts up to 230 kilometers per hour. At least 8 people were killed and more than 1 million people were displaced by the flooding, with some areas still dealing with the damage from another typhoon that hit last week. International leaders and climate experts are in Brazil this week for the start of the COP30 Global Climate Summit. They're once again pushing for accelerated efforts to curb global warming. Now, this year's talks aren't expected to end with any ambitious New Deal. Instead, countries have been asked to show up with their updated national plans to fight climate change. Canada's delegation is led by the Environment Minister. The Trump administration is not sending any high-level representatives to the talks. U.S. President Donald Trump has pardoned dozens of allies accused of trying to overturn his 2020 election loss, including Rudy Giuliani. Trump proclaimed the move would end a grave national injustice and continue the process of national reconciliation. That is his quote. The presidential pardons include 77 peoples and could include others not named, but does not apply to himself. And former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been released from prison 3 weeks into a 5-year sentence pending an appeal of his case. The 70-year-old former leader arrived back at his Paris home. He will be subject to strict supervision and is barred from leaving France. He was found guilty of conspiring to fund an election campaign using money from the late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Sarkozy has denied any wrongdoing. Today, November the 10th, marks 50 years since the 1975 sinking of the storied Edmund Fitzgerald on Lake Superior, which inspired one of celebrated singer-songwriter Gordon Lightfoot's most popular songs.
And every man knew as the captain did, the witch of November comes sailing.
The massive cargo ship and its 29 crew members perished during a surprise severe storm. Powerful waves and gale force winds battered the vessel and knocked out its radar before it was dragged to the bottom of the lake, carrying thousands of kilograms of iron ore. Over the decades, the master craftsman of Canadian folk song, who passed away in 2023, did multiple interviews about the wreck and where he finds inspirations for his songs. Here's what he told me and later Lloyd Robertson.
I'm really interested in current events. I like to follow current events, and it's not really a tough thing to do these days because there's a lot of really interesting things happening in the world.
How long did it take to write Edmund Fitzgerald then?
About a week. I stayed up all night rewriting it.
There's a lesson from the chip on down of the big lake they call Gitchigumi.
On Sunday at a historic church in Detroit where the ship was headed, a replica bell rang 29 times for the lives lost on the Edmund Fitzgerald. And tomorrow, Remembrance Day ceremonies for the lives lost in battle, starting with the Great War, which ended on November 11, 1918. CTV News will have special coverage beginning at 10 Eastern Time. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Thanks for sharing your time with us. Your local CTV News is coming up.
In the record, the Edmund Fitzgerald.